Welcome to Global Eye. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Kuwait. This will be the first state visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait after 43 years. Prime Minister Modi's last met Kuwait's Crown Prince on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September 2024. Remember, Kuwait is among India's top trading partners. Trade between the two nations was valued at over $10 billion in FY24. To discuss what we can expect from this visit, I'm now joined by Rabah Al-Rabah, Director General of Kuwait Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Rabah, thank you very much. I would like to begin by asking you about the Prime Minister's visit to Kuwait. What would be your outlook on ties with India right now, and what is the potential for growth in trade?
I think it's the visit of the Prime Minister of India came right on the right time, because India, as you well know, is a 13 billion plus GDP. So it's the world number 3 with 1.4 billion population. So India will stay and will continue to be very important to Kuwait, as India is always on our major trading partners for many, many years. And if you go back a little bit to the history, you will see that Kuwait always has been on a trade with India. Don't forget also that Kuwait last week signed with on improving and establishing with Chinese companies and Chinese government the port of Mubarak in north of Kuwait. This port supposed to be very, very important, and India as well can utilize this port in the north of Kuwait for big feeders to start trade with Europe and some countries in the Middle East and some of the Arab countries.
So what sectors will the Kuwait Chambers of Commerce be most interested in when it comes to India, Mr. Rabah?
I think food and medicine will be number 1. Healthcare is also very, very, very important. Oil and downstream industries and petrochemical industries as well will be very important. Of course, there are some other sectors like machinery, textile, construction. These are also some of the most important sectors.
I would also like to ask you about the potential of a free trade agreement between India and Kuwait, India and the larger Gulf Cooperation Council as well. Do you think that is the right way forward?
I would encourage that. Being part, our chamber being part of the Federation of the GCC chambers, we have been pushing for this for many years. I think it's a great opportunity. I know in some of the GCC countries has moved forward, but I think for a free trade zone between India and Kuwait could create a very big trading area. Don't forget that the geographical location between our two blocks. So I think India is very important. I would push and encourage the sign and approve of the free trade zone between Kuwait, GCC, and India. I think it could create a very good opportunity for increasing the trade.
And what could possibly encourage Kuwait companies to invest more in India? Are you seeking any regulatory changes or tax concessions?
Well, I'm not an expert on tax, but let me tell you on regularity. I think in India, we need to see very clear-cut regulations for doing business, because some of the Kuwaiti companies, which is very normal and natural, are complaining from the rigidity of the system sometimes. and especially when they go to court, it's very, very, very slow action. I think we should encourage arbitration. I think Indians should have a clear-cut regularity on doing business in India. The third thing, there is a problem between the federal government and the state government and regularity. Sometimes the federal government put a very encouraging laws and regulations to do business in India, while you see the unstable and keep changing regularity in the state level. So that sometimes it creates some problem for some of the investors. So I think the Indian government should look into that matter in order to encourage the foreign direct investment.
And finally, how do you see the presence of Indian companies in Kuwait, and how can India support the growth story there in the Gulf?
I think Indian companies has a great potential in Kuwait. And also, when they look to Kuwait, they should not only look to Kuwait because we are only 5 million. Yes, we have a very great power, purchasing power parity, but this is not enough. I think Indian companies should look to Kuwait and beyond. From my home now, where I am talking to you, to Iran and Iraq, it's only 1.5 hours by car. So Iran is 70 million, Iraq is almost 30 million, and the rest of the Arab world, like Syria and Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey is only 12 hours by car from Kuwait. So these are the potentiality of Indian companies in the sectors I've mentioned, in food, medicine, health, oil, and downstream industries of oil. So I think Indian companies could play a vital role and very important role in Kuwait growth, because that will encourage export and re-export as well.
Moving on to the United States, global central bank